Okay, good morning. We're going to get started. We have a packed agenda, and as it is 10 o'clock, we're gonna jump right into it. Thank you for joining me today. This is part of the All Things M365 conference, Empowered to Achieve. For those of you who don't know, um, this is a Teams meeting. I know we've been in a number of different Teams meetings, but if you have any questions, this slide kind of covers how to turn on live captions, mute yourself, things like that. Please, your cameras are disabled for this meeting, but please mute your microphones. Um, if you have any questions, feel free to send chat messages or messages in the chat or questions in the chat, and we'll get to them. But like I said, we have a packed agenda, and I want to make sure we keep this rolling along as we have a number of different things we want to want to cover. So once again, thank you for joining me for this session, Driving Innovation with Microsoft Dynamics in the Power Platform. I know I've given many presentations to many agencies about the Power Platform, and hopefully this will give you some information and some ideas on how to drive that innovation with Dynamics in the Power Platform. My name is Tim Muse. I work for Enterprise Collaboration Services within DIT, and I'm the Dynamics in Power Platform SME for the state of North Carolina. I've been with the state for 15 years, starting in ag, working with DEQ, and have been at DIT for 5 years now. I have over 20 years, 25, I'd say now, experience with data, but initially I got my start in GIS, which is still very near and dear to my heart.
Thing I joined. I don't need to listen to it.
Can you mute
can read
yourself,
it.
please? Thank you. So over 20 years, I've been doing this, especially with GIS and working with data. And what is data, and why do we have databases? We have them to answer these questions. And GIS is just very similar. It just has a spatial component to that data. I got into this position with DIT by working with, at that time, it was called CRM, for a cloud implementation for Dynamics in 2015. And like I said, I've been for 5 years at DIT. This is part, as I said, of the All Things M365 conference. If you're interested in attending another session, please feel free to do so. There's a lot of good things that have been listed. And I know we've already had the kickoff session this morning, but you'll have to register for each one individually. The link is on the slide here. And actually, if you Google All Things M365 NC, it'll come up. So you can register for those sessions and feel free to attend some of those sessions. And the interesting thing is that most of the sessions touch on the Power Platform, whether you know it or not. I know in the keynote, Mike Ware talked a little bit about the PTP project and other projects that they have going on with Dynamics in the Power Platform. You're attending this session. We also have, in conjunction, the opposite me is Patrick Dorn from DIT Transportation, presenting on Power Automate and utilizing Power Automate, which is a workflow engine, and we'll talk about that. And then visualizations with Power BI that Valerie Matt's going to be talking about. So if you look down through the sessions, the Power Platform touches each one of these subjects. So it's really grown, and it's really a powerful thing. So what is it, right? We're talking about the Power Platform in this presentation, but what is it? It sounds cool, Power. Microsoft likes to come up with names for various things at different times, but there's 4 pillars for the Power Platform. Power BI, which a lot of you may or may not be or may not knowingly know, but Power BI is the business analytics, the dashboards you see. We're all very familiar with dashboards and how they look. And that's part of the Power Platform. Power Apps and Power Automate, which we'll talk about today. Power Apps are the low-code development application, that facilitates that application development, and Power Automate, the workflow automation. and then Power Virtual Agents, which is the chatbots which we've all dealt with, whether we wanted to or not, at some point with various agencies or companies. But it does streamline a lot of your processes. But today we're just going to focus on Power Apps and Power Automate. And underneath there, we're going to talk a little bit about data connectors. We're not going to get too far into the AI builder components of this, but we'll also talk about Dataverse. And what Dataverse is, it is the database, the pre-configured database, kind of it's SQL. And, for those of us who want to know, it's a SQL database, but it has a lot of built-in conventions already set up within Dataverse that allows for this development. So talking about Power Apps, it's a suite, and I talked about this of rapid development or low code, no code, as they call it, application development tools that allows you to build apps, right? And there are two types. One is Canvas app. That's kind of a lightweight app, or it doesn't really have a database driven. There's no reporting requirements. It's maybe they always use the example of the time off, that you can go on your phone and you could schedule time off, or maybe that's it updates SharePoint list or something like that similar. Those are Canvas app, or these lightweight apps. And then you have these model-driven apps. Model-driven apps are more, application with a back-end SQL database, reporting, dashboards, things like that. It's a little bit heavier. It's a little bit more application. Your typical idea of what an application is. And then I mentioned the Power Automates, the workflow engine already. It was formerly known as Flow. It's an online tool that helps you develop these workflows and helps facilitate some of this back-end automation that surfaces things to Power Automates. And this is a great graphic as far as data storage in SharePoint, maybe some reporting. And Power Automate can automatically do that via trigger, whether it's when a record is updated, if there's a time horizon that's reached, something like that, and it will do that update. And Power Apps, as you could see, is the UI, which allows you, the user interface, to interface with those users, whether it's the business, whether it's the public at large via portal or something like that. But Power Automate is that workflow engine that is being utilized across the state, as I'll mention, really impressively over the past couple of years. So one of the things that also we talked about, or I showed you in that first graphic, is connectors. And what connectors are, basically it's API and a wrapper. So I always say Microsoft finally got smart, right? They stopped trying to recreate everything. There's there's DocuSign and Adobe Sign. There are two great e-signature applications out there. Why is Microsoft going to try to develop their own? Well, they're not. Instead, why not utilize these connectors, which will allow this workflow engine to interface with those applications, or GIS, or whatever you're interested in doing, so that they're not going to, try to create their own, but utilize what is existing. And the cool thing, like I said, is it allows these workflows that you build to interface with these connectors, or interface with these applications via these connectors. So Microsoft Dynamics, sometimes you'll hear this word or this terminology, and terminology a lot of times, especially in the Power Platform, seems to trip us up a little bit. But as I mentioned, it was formerly known as CRM, or Customer Relationship Management, right? You see advertisements for Monday.com and others that are CRM systems, right? So, it was formerly known as CRM. Then it was rebranded to Dynamics, and 365 means it's in the cloud. So this is a cloud-based application, and it allows, the development of these applications within the cloud, and, already comes out of the box with a lot of great things that you don't have to start at square one trying to develop everything as you move forward with your development, or you look at your business requirements. And the question that constantly comes up is, how does Dynamics fit into the Power Platform? You're talking about the Power Platform, and then you're talking about this Dynamics. How does it fit in? Well, basically, the easiest way to look at it is that Dynamics is a model-driven app on steroids, right? It has a lot of things that are pre-built already into it. So, your views, your reports, some of your charting capability already exist within Dynamics. So you're not starting, the Power Platform gives you that one up. So you're not starting from scratch. Dynamics just gives you one more step up. It has more things that are already pre-configured and pre-developed. You will hear the terms Dynamics and Power Apps interchangeably because, like I said, Dynamics is a model-driven app. And when you define your business requirements, or when you look at your legacy system or what you have and what's already been developed or what you want to replace, that's when you start to look at, okay, do I need a model driven app? Do I need a Canvas app? Do I need a Dynamics or something similar to that to replace the functionality that we already currently have in the system? So that's how Dynamics fits into the Power Platform. This is a question that consistently gets asked. I'm a little biased. I'll tell you, I don't work for Microsoft. I work for the state of North Carolina, but I do work with the Power Platform and Dynamics on a continual basis. I work with a lot of agencies to support this technology. I think it is really good, but if there's something out there that you can utilize that really you're sold on, go for it. But this is something that I think has a lot of benefits and capabilities for the agencies and for the workers in the state of North Carolina. It's part of the M365 environment, so it already comes with that seamless integration to other Microsoft products like Excel, Outlook, SharePoint. I've already mentioned a lot of these things. And one thing to consider, especially as you're going through and you're developing your business requirements or what legacy system you want to replace, what paper processes you want to get rid of, is you're going to have training. You're going to have trading. You're going to have new people coming on board. You're going to have people have been there for a while that are used to doing things a certain way. And the nice thing about this is that the look and feel is similar to other Microsoft products. A sort looks like a sort, things like that, export to Excel, email somebody with a question directly from the application. So there's a lot of great things that you could already do and that already feel and look like other Microsoft products. And that'll help you cut down on your training time. It's affordable. It is not free. I'm going to say that it is not free, but it is affordable when compared to some other applications that are out there that agencies are using. Um, you know, that's a common question. How much is this going to cost me? How much is development, licensing, ongoing costs going to, how are we going to budget for it? How is it going to work? It is affordable. There are other options out there that may be less expensive, but they may not give you the functionality. There are ones that out there that are more expensive, but may give you more functionality. Bang for your buck, in my opinion, this is the best. This is the best platform for it. So it is affordable, but it is not free. Out of the box, it comes mobile capable. You can, download the app from the iOS or the Android store. It already exists there, and you can download it. I already talked about these connectors, which I think is a game changer for them. Already is, it's part of the M365 environment. So similar to logging into Office on the web, you would log in using your NCID credentials. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. And we have a network of state users and shared resources. The comment that I always make is, why are we trying to recreate the wheel? We all have needs for grants management tracking. We all have needs for inventory tracking and management. We all have needs for case management. Whatever the case management may look like, it's case management. So why not look at other, and we do this in our community practice meeting, having agencies show what they're doing, and maybe it'll turn on that light bulb. Oh, this is interesting. And maybe I can talk to Will over at Vital Records. Maybe I can talk to Joey over at DOA, or maybe I can talk to, Mark Standard over at DEQ. Maybe I can talk to these people who are doing this and, have these shared resources, have this shared knowledge to help us through this and answer some of these questions. We have Microsoft support. We have support via the pod. Some questions. I'm stuck on this Power Automate. I'm trying to get it going, and it's just not going. They won't develop it for you, but they'll help you with some of the sticking points. And then, of course, if there is an issue, we address it. Meaning DIT. We are that interface with Microsoft for you. Configuration versus customization. And, on that, Microsoft likes to do these things called updates, which we're all familiar with one way or another. And we want to do configuration and not customization. And the reason why we want to do that is because we don't want things to break. We don't, oh yeah, let me just write some JavaScript. Oh yeah, let me just write this. The more you customize, the more you leave yourself open to even updates, internal updates. If you're going to update your code, to something getting affected. Let's do configuration. There's a lot of out of the box things that we can just modify or configure to help us through that. So it doesn't break. So what? Right? It's great. You're telling me about this great new tool. Is it a red shiny button we want to press? Is it a cool thing that will help us write our term paper with Chat GPT? How is this going to affect us? Is this something that we really want to do? Jurassic Park is a classic. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. This is the Rod Parrish mantra for those of those who know the SharePoint Ninja Rod Parrish. Just because you can shouldn't mean to. So what? So why? So why would we do this? Well, you would do this because you would want to eliminate paper. My wife works for Duke Health, and I'm amazed at the amount of paper she still deals with. And sometimes it just boggles my mind. But maybe you want to streamline those processes and eliminate that paper. Legacy systems, we all have it. If that legacy system is older, maybe the application is not been deprecated. Maybe some of the support's been deprecated. Maybe your developer's retiring. Maybe I've seen all of it. So maybe it's this legacy system that needs to be migrated. Maybe you want to go to the cloud and not have on-prem and deal with all this on-prem, all the on-prem stuff or the on-premise stuff. Maybe you have spreadsheet overload. I mentioned mitigation services. They had over 100 spreadsheets, not to mention their Access database tables and their Oracle IBM platform system. They had over 100 spreadsheets, and everybody had spreadsheets. Oh, I like to do this a certain way. Oh, I like this to look like this. Well, wouldn't it be great if we had a system in the cloud where you could create your own dashboards, or you could create dashboards and share them? And there are system dashboards already created for you that you can go in and look at. That would get rid of all these spreadsheets on all these people's desks. So it would be a great thing if we could do that. So I talked about a little bit about the growth, and what I did is I pulled the numbers. I gave this presentation last year at the All Things M365 conference, and that was on 3/16 or March 16th. And I just pulled it for 428. That's when I was looking at the numbers. And we're growing. And while the environments may not seem that large of a growth, you're talking about an entire environment, a development environment, a sandbox, production environments with multiple applications in them. What really kind of drives it home is when you start looking at the apps and the Power Automates, the growth in the model-driven and Canvas apps. But we've added almost 700 Power Automates in a year. 700. These are workflows. This isn't just a short workflow. At times, these are multiple work. This is a large branching workflow that does a number of things. So, and we have 60 portals currently. But there's multiple projects in development right now. Next year, I'm hopeful that when I give this presentation, I can demo some of these things, some of the projects. DHHS has really embraced this with their, they have a project with early childhood education, farm worker healthcare. DOA has got a very large project with the EVP system, going through and the vendor portal, replacing the vendor portal and things like that. DHHS is doing some internal work with DEQ on the cards projects, and then the cost allocation projects, which is just starting to get ramped up. And there's many more in discussion. I have biweekly meetings with agencies as far as development, and I have constant communication. Hey, we're looking at doing this. Hey, look, we're looking at retiring this legacy system. So the growth is there, and there's a lot going on. And we're here to assist agencies. Carlos Cameron, a lot of you may know him and have dealt with him. He's fantastic. He helps me out, and we help each other out unbelievably dealing with the Power Platform, and any questions and things that are moving forward. But it takes a team. As I said in the beginning, this presentation, if you look at the presentations that are in this conference, they all kind of touch each other. They all have something. Business intelligence with Power BI, scraping the data from that dataverse. Kim and Eugene right there, part of the ECS team. SharePoint and Teams, you can develop apps within Teams. You can access apps within Teams. Michelle Allen, SharePoint, I talked about that. Those Canvas apps with Rod and Karen. And Karen, as most of you know, has done a great job with this conference. Shout out to Karen, who's done a lot of work getting this all set up. And then Exchange, as far as, emails and communication with the whole team supporting us. And we're, like I said, enterprise collaboration services. While we have this growth, we also have a team to support this, which is really great. So all right, I'm going to show you a couple different, I'm going to demo here, and I'm going to show you a couple different applications in here. And I'm going to start with mitigation services. This was the one that was started in 2015, and it has been running concurrently since 2015. And these are projects, environmental projects, which provide credits, environmental credits, and they're large projects. And what they wanted is they had an Oracle backend database that they track their project. They have access to databases that track their costs and their finances, because NCAS wasn't, or the North Carolina accounting system wasn't accurate enough. So they needed something a little bit, to put a finer point on it. So they had these access databases as well. And then I mentioned the spreadsheets. They had more spreadsheets than you could shake a stick at. But this is what Dynamics looks like. This is these are views. These are standard views that come out of the box, and these are all the active projects which they're dealing with. And if you look, filter, you can go ahead and email a link to a project. You can run a report. You can export to Excel. There's all kinds of things. And if you want to do a quick find, you can do Maple. I just picked out this Maple Swamp Buffer project. And so this is another view that comes up. And these are cards within that view. And this is very, very busy. I will say you can have as few of these on, or you can have as many of these on as you want. You can customize how it looks. And I'll get into that a little bit, but they wanted everything surfaced. They wanted to look at everything when they selected a project. So you're going to see there's a lot of information here, from project location, general information, and critical activities. So one of the things that the Power Platform in Dynamics does is it allows you to capture critical activities via this timeline functionality. And when they put in this critical activity, or this critical activity is reached, hey, let's trigger a workflow or a Power Automate, which we just talked about, that sends me an email or updates something within the application. So this is really a great tool to use. But they wanted their critical activities, and it could be automated or not automated. You can have it any number of ways. But let me back up here a minute. As you can see on the left-hand side on the navigation, there's the mitigation projects. There's some of the assets, some of the tools, maintenance. This is the way it looks. So you're able to go, and these are tables. And this is a relational database, which allows these different tables to connect to each other, which is really kind of cool. But let's go down this card in this project. So the way you look at it has all kinds of information. There's some basic charting and graphing functionality within Dynamics itself. It is not as advanced as Power BI dashboards and things like that, but it does give you some basic charting capabilities, and you can see at a glance, what's been paid, what fund it came out of, and then maybe the credits, the mitigation type, the riparian buffer credits that are coming out of here. And then it also has some finance information on the left-hand side that it's pulling from the finance tables, the cost and the total spent. So it has a lot of different information here that you can look at. So it's very busy. I will say it's very busy, but you can make these views look however you want. Some of the credit summary, this is a little bit cleaner, easier to see. They wanted it looking like this. Maybe the credit summary more like a table, and you can go to these different. It's a relational database. You can go to these different tables, project quantities and credits and things like that. So a lot of times, these are, as I said, tables that are in here. But one of the questions we always have is about dashboarding. I need to see quickly how many projects I have in a watershed. Well, the Cape Fear River Basin has 69 projects. Boom. Do you really need a report for that? Do you really need an access table? No, you have it right here at your fingertips in these dashboards. And like I said before, the cool thing about these dashboards right here are system dashboards, but you can create your own dashboard and share it out if you want. Now you can restrict that as well. This is role-based security within this, and you can restrict, who sees what and what they're looking at. And you can also create a Power BI dashboard right inside Dynamics. Why you would want to do that, I'm not really sure. If you want a Power BI dashboard, create it in Power BI. But the cool thing, like I said, is that it really integrates seamlessly with Power BI as it's part of the M365 stack. So like I said, this is a kind of a cool it's pretty simple, but you can see at a glance what you have as far as the number of projects. And this came up, this dashboard was extremely important because for these folks, they have reporting requirements not just to the Corps of Engineers and DEQ, but also to the legislature. And if they want a question answered, it's always good to have something quickly at your fingertips. This was my director, downloaded the app on his phone, was standing in the field next to a project, and called me and said, Tim, John, I am here with the legislature for section whatever, and I'm not really a political guy, but anyway, he said part of his, we're in Johnston County at this, and we're standing near this project, and he has questions about what we're doing, because it's part of his constituency. And I said, well, open the app. He opened the app. He said, yep, we have 12 projects going on right now, and we're spending $18 million on environmental projects. And that just, having them stand in the field, mobile app, being able to bring that up was impressive, and it was really, really great for them. They have reporting requirements. And as I said, sometimes you have to do reports. You have to do actual reports. And there is a reporting functionality right within Dynamics itself. This was my favorite one, the expenditures report. They built this. It's pretty easy. It's out of the box. I want to see 2022, how much we spent on mitigation projects. This used to take 2 people 3 days to pull together from the old system, and I just did it. It doesn't look great. I don't really like the look of it. Fine, export it as something else. This is out of the box. This is pretty simplistic type functionality, but you can make reporting as fancy as you want. And like I said, maybe you want to do a dashboard or something similar. But these are the actual reports that you can export and put into a PowerPoint document for a presentation or something like that, or something that needs to be mailed. So that's kind of neat that they have this all ready and set to go. The second application I'm going to show you, it looks very similar, but this is for the 911 board for the state. We're all familiar with 911 and how important it is to all of us across the state. And they had this project that they wanted to do multiple things. They wanted to go ahead and they wanted what they call is their demographics. It's almost like an inventory, but it's more based on people, agencies, equipment. It's a number of different things. So as you see here, these are PSAPs or 911 call centers, point of service answering points or 911 call centers. And you could see all the information about it. It looks pretty simple. Here are their tables that they have down here. But if you go to Alamance County, you can see information about this. This is that timeline functionality I talked of, where you can have a timeline which updates you and lets you know when things are updated, when things are uploaded. So they can see this at a glance, and it's pretty easy. Once again, these are these cards I talked about. And one of the most important things that they wanted to have was this related PSAPs. Who do we call when Alamance County Central Communications go down? Well, we can call Guilford Metro, and here's all the information. So this is kind of like that CRM component too, right? Who do we call? How do we get in touch with these individuals? And can we email them straight from within the application? The answer is yes. Um, and then some of the demographic information, which is kind of cool because every time I come in here, they're updating. And that's one of the things with this is that you don't have to do everything all at once. You can add to this. One thing I want to let me yes. Okay, let me come back over here. Yeah, so what they did is they're continually adding to this. Yes, it's part of they have the next gen upgrade, which is part of their upgrade, and some of the information that they're consistently and the assets that they're adding, which is great to see that they're starting to add some of the assets in here. But originally they didn't have all that information. They were focused on getting the contacts in there, and they got that set, and then they're continuing to add the assets in there. So that's a great thing. The second thing that they wanted to do is they wanted to look at case management. And they developed a portal, and they also have obviously a call center which comes in, and they can start these cases. We have an admin line, we have an issue with the admin line, or a continuous admin line ringing, and this is your call center or your call case management type application within Dynamics that allows you to see it's been assigned, it's been researched, has it been resolved? And here's that timeline functionality. We've determined that XYZ and some of the information about the issues. So you can come in here and have this, and it can be resolved. And you can also look over at the cases and look at the active cases that have been open. And this is once again more of those views, right? Active cases that have been open within 7 days, all of the cases that have been closed and things like that. So you can build out these system views, just like system dashboards, that has all this information in it. And the resolve cases, we had a resolve case. How long did it take to resolve that case and things like that? You have all that information. So that's a really cool, and they have I'm not going to bring up the portal, but they have a portal that you can log into, or that these call centers can log into and report this functionality, or if there's an issue with the functionality. Let me step back because I forgot to show you one thing here on the dashboards here. So I wanted to go into the dashboards, but these are those system dashboards like I talked about. And you can create personal dashboards as well. You can have different dashboards. You can have just expiring contracts. This is not that expiring. Here are contracts expiring 30, 60, 90 days. But it gives those folks the ability to just go to that dashboard and quickly access it and bring up that information. But another cool thing that I thought they did is they brought their this is basically an iframe within the application itself. They're able to go into their ArcGIS Online and look at their various projects and bring up information about their projects. So this is like an iframe into that. So they've done that and they've surfaced this as a dashboard, which is kind of neat. They also have it in here as it goes directly to the application, but I forgot to show that and I wanted to as well. So getting back to the 911 board, there was the PSAP information, the cases. The next part that they're going to put in there is the financial information, because what they have now is a lot of these call centers are requesting funds. You know, we need to buy a new whatever piece of equipment, and it's being tracked by by database and spreadsheet, and you know they want it to all have it in one system that is accessed via the web. So this is kind of neat, and you'll see the problem is solved. You know, the status is it's saved, and right up here it's resolved, so you can only do read only. So you can set up all kinds of parameters for this. The last example I'm going to show you, and I'm going to bring this up. I was afraid I'd get logged out if I had too many of these going at the same time. This is DMVA, or Military and Veterans Affairs. They developed an application, and I believe that's been running consistently since 2016 as well. 2015 for DMS, 2016 for Military and Veterans Affairs. And so basically they developed a system where, you know, veterans can apply, and veterans spouses and their siblings can or their kids can apply for applications through, you know, for college. This is a sandbox. I'm just going to tell you, these are not correct numbers, so don't everybody get upset. This is a sandbox. As I said, these are all made up numbers. Katie Tobin's the developer. Chad Kuhn is the developer. So, but anyways, this is a sandbox full of information. It has the applicants on there. They have they have different dashboards. They have, let me bring up the VCM dashboard, the Veterans Case Management dashboard. And I'll bring up this. This is kind of cool. You could see at a glance within this that, you know, they've doled out over 127 million versus, you know, scholarships invoices that have been paid, and the breakout of what's been paid by room and board, things like that. So this is their application. As I said, they have a portal which folks can go in and utilize and upload applications and upload or enter their application and upload their DD214s or whatever information they need to upload so that they can apply for this. This is a cool application, and it's something that, like I said, has been running since 2016. And has been really, really good for them and has worked out really well. They've done a great job on this. So, all right, I'm going to switch back over to the presentation. So this is really cool. I'm interested. I went through the so what exercise. This seems like something that the agency or we'd be interested in looking at doing, and something that could benefit us. You know, how do we get started? Where do we go? How do we start the process? Well, the first thing I'd say is that if you're thinking about doing this, you know, typically there's an initial meeting and discussion with Carlos and myself. We're more than happy to meet with any agency, any group within an agency that wants to talk about the Power Platform and see if it's right for them. There is no commitment on this. You're just interested in, you know, you develop some business requirements, even if they're at a high level. You know, we're interested in seeing if the Power Platform is something that we can utilize and would make sense for what we do on a day-to-day basis. So, you know, develop your business requirements even at a high level, and feel free if you want to reach out to us. We can even in that first initial meeting talk about your business requirements and assist you in that. Answer some of the questions. Is a portal right for us? Do we need a portal? Does it, you know, does it have this capability? Does it have that capability? We have reporting requirements. Will it meet the need? And we're able to discuss with you the initial things, and if it meets your needs and what you're looking to do. And if you decide to move forward, and sometimes, let me back up. Sometimes, if it's a larger application, we can bring Microsoft in on the discussion, and they'll build for you a proof of concept. So this is all great, Tim. You showed us a scholarship application. You showed us case management with 911 boards, some demographics, case management or project management with DMS. It's not what we want. Really, what we want. We want inventory management. We want grants tracking. We want something different, something legal, has legal requirements or something like that. How can we go about seeing something that's a little bit closer to what we do on a daily basis? Well, if it's a larger application, Microsoft is typically good at doing these proof of concepts. They're not going to build the application for you, but they'll take some of your sample data, they'll take your business requirements, and they'll kind of start to tease out what you do, and show you things that are more closely related to what you do. If you decide to move forward, there's application development. You can go RFP process. God love you if you really want to do that, but you can go RFP. Some are required to do that. You can hire programmers utilizing supplemental staffing. If you have internal staff, which some agencies are starting to get internal staff trained up to start on development, and especially support, more so support than development. Or you can use the 920S statement of work or IT services contract, where we've gone out and we've pre-vetted 18 vendors to supply Power Platform application development. You submit it. There's a template out there. You fill it out with your scope of work information. You send it out, you get proposals back. Maybe you'll get 5, maybe you'll get 10, but it goes out to all those different agencies, and you can review them and decide to move forward based on that. Your order, your licenses, your environments, your portals will, meaning DIT, set up that base platform, get you or your developers ready to rock and roll, ready to move forward. You do your application development and then move on from there with your training and enhancing the site. So what can DIT do for me? How can y'all support us? Well, we do the tenant, the overall platform support and tenant management.
Support services,
upgrades. Can you mute your phone, please? The platform support, the tenant management. We do the escalated support. If there is an issue, if there's a known issue, we can interface with Microsoft on that, the governance of the entire platform. Support your vendors on this. If you have business partners or vendors who are, doing your app dev, we are more than happy to meet with them and have discussions with them. We do this on a daily basis, I would say right now, with different vendors or different partners. We do the base platform setup, your environments, your DLP policies for your connectors, which are your security policies. We get that all ready to go. So your licensing for your folks to move forward. Like I said, POCs, we coordinate the POCs with Microsoft if that's something, if it's a larger application, and we coordinate the updates as needed. Quotes, I need so many licenses. Hey, can you ping SHI? Can you ping Microsoft? We need this, we need that. And then, do you really need that? So we can facilitate some of those conversations. Do you need portal page views versus licenses, user licenses? So, and then we assign the licenses as well. We provide a lot of resources as you're part of this. Well, let me back up. The community practice I mentioned, we have meetings quarterly with demos, and we always want to have agencies. We're looking for agencies to demo the great work that they're doing. And we've had a number of different demos from agencies, and it's been really great. And I'm about to ping DEQ this summer for another one. So, but anyway, I mentioned this is part of the All Things M365 conference, and we have 2 channels, a Dynamics and Power Platform channel, which we list training, events, and information. So it's really great. We list all that, and it gives you access to some of the training. And I'm just going to throw this out there because I was on a call with Microsoft, a Microsoft engineer yesterday, and we have these meetings where we discuss new functionality coming out. So there's this enhanced security role designation, and he didn't even know about it. So these are some of the things that we can communicate out via those channels and get you that information. Or if you have questions, give that to you. But going back to the training, we're very excited to have this in-person Power Platform training. June 8th is full, but we have another one scheduled for July 20th. It is in person at the Microsoft offices in Morrisville, North Carolina. It is free. So this is going to be a full day training. It's going to be really neat. They're going to have breakout sessions. And so we're excited to have this. This is the first in-person training that we've had in years. So we offer that and we support that. Microsoft also has virtual training days, and I post these in the Teams channel. The next one is May 22nd. So yeah, look for that if you're interested. All these sessions are being recorded, so they'll have the links as well. And Microsoft Learn, if you have a G3, G5 license, which y'all do, most of y'all do, you're able to access Microsoft Learn logging in with your state credentials. And you're able to go in there and utilize all the great learning. There's LinkedIn Learning, which I didn't list as well. They have Power Platform training as well, Dynamics training, Power Automate training, Power BI training. So there's a lot of different training options there. And of course, there's a YouTube channel, because why not? There's a YouTube channel for just about everything, right? So they have a YouTube channel for the Power Platform. So thank you very much for your attention this morning. I'm going to open it up to some questions, but before I do that, I just wanted to thank you for attending first of all, and then encourage you to fill out the conference survey. There's a link there, and I believe a link will be emailed out if you've registered as well for the conference survey. And this is important because last year, this is our second year doing this. Last year was our first. And it helps us build the sessions and the curriculum, what y'all want to see. And feel free to put anything in there. Tim was too long-winded. He took too many drinks of water. I didn't like his shirt, whatever the case may be. But it's important, though, to have this information as far as what do you want to see? How can we get you something, that's part of the M365 offering that you're interested and you want to see? So right now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to go back and I'm going to answer some questions. How do you sign up for it? If you go to the Dynamics channel or the Power Platform channel within All Things M365, there's a link to sign up for it.
And Khalil had a question. If I needed assistance with linking GIS and Power Automate and SharePoint, could I seek you all for that?
So yes, we could definitely assist you with that or point you in the right direction to get that assistance. What I would encourage you to do is do some research on it, but definitely we can help you with that. So yeah. Jennifer, correct. So Dynamics requires a different license than you typically have with your other Microsoft products. So I think the best thing would be for us to have a discussion about what you're trying to do. And also if it's right for you, if you can build a Canvas app utilizing SharePoint that's already existing, maybe that would suffice for what you're interested in doing. So, definitely reach out to us if you have a question via email, or we can set up some time. My calendar is always up to date, if that makes sense.